All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Ian the Vegan, Magado Cherry. And while he might be one of the most unlikable, high-profile fighters in the UFC today, there's one thing in particular that drives me absolutely crazy. And I want to go over that in this video, okay? I believe that Ian the Vegan is the person who is mostly to blame for his family getting brought up in trash talk, and every time it happens in his next interview, the media always asks him about it, and the premise is always something like, well, how do you feel that yet another fighter crossed this arbitrary line, like talking about family or whatever, okay? And both him and the MMA media members are usually condemning of it, but like I said, in my opinion, Ian is mostly to blame for this happening. Number one, I think he uses his family as a prop, and he thrusts them into the spotlight of the fight game. And number two, he's also a hypocrite in this regard when it comes to bringing up family and kids and things like that. So I want to go over a couple of clips from this recent interview that he did with Ariel yesterday, where he was asked about what Jack Della Maddalena said at the press conference before his fight with Belal Muhammad, and I want to talk a bit about it, as well as some clips from the build-up and the aftermath from one of Ian's previous fights that in my mind make him a complete and total hypocrite. Okay, so let's get into the clips.
Ben is now backwards. Ben is now backwards the way it should be, right? And his coach should stay out of this, right? My son giving him M&Ms was a playful, handful joke about having a laugh about him missing weight. It was all good. It was all a bit of banter. I'm not flying around the world trying to be a superstar, trying to be someone famous. I'm flying around the world ready to fight. And if I'm needed, I'll show up and I'll do what I need to do, which is fight. And if he's the champion, I'll take the belt from his hands.
In your opinion, did he cross the line with his comment at the press conference?
What do you think?
I would imagine. I would imagine.
No.
I'll be honest.
Not me. What do you think?
Yes. I would imagine you were not happy. I would imagine you would be offended. I would also.
No, I'm asking you, what do you think about the comments?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not asking you whether you think I was offended. I'm saying, what do you think as a father and as
100%.
a reporter and a presenter of MMA? What do you think about it?
As a father, first and foremost, I don't like when family gets involved. I don't like when kids. We've talked about this, but then and that's the period. That's it. I do, and I didn't even ask him about it because I didn't want to bring up the can of worms. But since we're going down this,
I appreciate that.
But the only thing is that once it's a double-edged sword, because your son is on camera and you guys are proud of him and he's interacting with the fighters. So then sometimes someone could say, like, if you're going to put him out there to have playful banter, guys are going to take it in different directions. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not.
All right, now there's a few things I want to touch on from that clip. Immediately off the bat, you hear Ian Garry say, well, it was just a playful joke and it was all good banter. And I might agree with that, okay? But the problem is that not everybody's going to. What might be okay for Ian the Vegan Magado Cherry might not be okay for Jack Della Maddalena, and also it applies in both directions. What Jack Della Maddalena said at the press conference might be his version of playful banter, and it's very clearly not okay to Ian the Vegan Magado Cherry, so who the fuck sets the rules? Also, I find it very funny how badly he wanted Ariel to condemn it, and he would not let him off the hook from that line of questioning. And while Ariel ultimately did end up agreeing with him, I appreciate that he brought up the double-edged sword narrative at the end of that clip there, where he said, listen, people are going to say, you are the one that puts your family on camera. You thrust them into the spotlight. You thrust them into the fight game. You go so far as to use your kid as a prop for a practical joke in an attempt to annoy a future opponent, yet you want everybody else to treat your family like sacred cows. Okay? And what it reminds me of is Michael Venom Page, when Colby Covington said what he said about Leon Edwards' dad. MVP advocated for fines and for suspensions for fighters that brought up family. And he used the exact same line of logic that Ian Garry used here, where he said, when I talk shit, it's all just playful banter. And I thought to myself, motherfucker, you threw a Pokeball at a guy whose skull was caved in. A guy who you could have potentially killed, you know, you threw a Pokeball at him. Yeah, his family might not have felt that was just playful banter. But if somebody brings up the fact that your dad molested some kids that he was teaching, well, now, I should be suspended or fined. And listen, that situation with Colby and Leon isn't even the same as this one. Most of the time, people aren't even talking shit about Layla or about Ian's kid. Jack Della Maddalena did not say that Ian's kid is retarded or something. The premise of the joke is that Ian the Vegan Megado Cherry is a cock. And it's so obviously a joke because Ian's kid looks exactly fucking like him, okay? Most of the time when this happens, when family gets brought up, nobody draws a line between actually saying something bad or talking shit about the family member or using a family member to talk shit about the fighter, like when Colby Covington brought up Jorge Masvidal being a deadbeat dad. The media acted as though Colby was saying things about his kids, but that wasn't really what happened. Either way, let's hear what Ian Garry has to say about this whole situation.
I'm not defending it. I just want you to know.
No, of course, I know you're not. I never would assume that you are. I never would assume that you are. Let's make that abundantly clear. Well, that's why I asked you, what do you think? There's a playful joke about a child giving a fighter M&Ms with the kind of like baseline comedy of take these, eat these, miss weight, my daddy will step in and win a world title. That's just a laugh, right? It's low level, right? Then going out and saying the comments that he said is just immature, and it shows that he's very sensitive, because if he says something like that, which is that's out of his character, which means that what I was doing on fight week irritated him enough to trigger him to say something like that, which means when I do fight him, Ariel, I'm going to open up a whole can of irritation, because I reckon he's mentally weak. I can get in his head, right? But I'll never stoop so low as to mention his child and his children and his wife, because I don't need to. I'll walk in there in the octagon, I'll pump him out off him, I'll take his belt, and then I don't need to say anything.
Okay, and there he goes again with he gets to set the lines. Well, what I did with my kid is just a playful joke. It was just a laugh. It was low level. But what he said shows that he's annoyed and he's immature and all the rest of it. Jack barely even... Bro, the crowd barely even realized what the fuck he said because he was so unsure of himself. When he said it, I don't think that's Ian's kid. Like, nobody even fucking... I mean, it was like nothing. Okay, but then we have Ian the Vegan Megado Cherry at the end of this clip talking like he's too good to do that. He would never bring up family or kids or wives or anything like that because he doesn't need to, which I find absolutely fucking mental, considering one of the most, high profile buildups to one of his fights was him doing exactly that to Neil Magny, which actually ended up resulting in real life consequences for Neil Magny.
Why do you feel so strongly about it?
Did you watch the clip?
Yes.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
So you heard word for word what came out of that man's mouth?
Yes, I believe he said he was going to...
We are tackling a very, very big fucking issue here, mate. And he should sit there and fucking sit down, shut up, and just reflect on what he said.
I will have to go to Neil. Neil, I'm curious what you think when you hear this.
No. Neil's not answering a question. He's gonna sit there and he's gonna be fucking quiet. Nobody, there is no fucking right to ever put your hand on a kid, ever discipline anything. You sit there and be quiet.
So bad, bro.
Mate, you're a father. You never lay your fucking hands on a child ever.
You know exactly.
Yesterday you said.
For a fact, I'll never put a hand on a child.
Yesterday you said I'm a father. I've been accustomed to that type of beating.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm gonna whoop that ass on Saturday.
You can play
you'll do fucking nothing. You'll sit there, you'll shut up, and you'll do what you're told.
Was beating Magny, did you feel sort of a neck?
Magny's a scumbag, and I'm glad I fucking went down and gave him a hiding. Because the shit he said at that press conference to you guys last week, I don't know how none of you picked up on that, by the way. The first second I heard it, I was like, what did he just say? I paused, I was like, sorry. I must have misunderstood that. I watched it again, and I was like, oh my goodness. You cannot say something like that and get away with it.
It seems that brought something out of you. So
Fucking right it did.
you almost
Justice.
prefer that you have some bad blood now going into a fight?
Look, my baby sat over there in the corner over here, right? I know from my life, I was a pest as a kid. Look at me, I'm the exact type of person that's gonna cause trouble. Do you know what I mean? I got a fucking whack at a wooden spoon. That doesn't mean I go and fucking do it to him. No, you break the cycle. And I see a lot of these comments being like, oh, this. If you want to be better and you want to change the world, don't do what you don't want to do to your life. Break the fucking cycle. Be a better human. Be a better man. And let's change the fucking world. And don't ever, ever, ever touch a fucking kid.
All right, now like I said in the beginning, okay, Ian Garry is a fucking hypocrite, and I just wish that one journalist would ask the follow-up question. You know, Ian, you just said that you would never stoop so low as to bring up someone's wife or kid, yet you have done that in the past, right? You did that to Neil Magny. You took a single piece of awkward trash talk and you twisted it and created a narrative that Neil Magny beats his child, and you brought it up over and over and over again, even though Neil Magny in that clip of the press conference was trying to say, like, no, you know what I meant. I don't beat my fucking kids. Do you know what I mean? So it just annoys me. The problem is that question would be almost completely fruitless, okay? Because what Ian Garry would do is not acknowledge that he was being a hypocrite. He wouldn't say like, oh yeah, you know what, you're right, I did fucking do that. He would try to justify it. He would say something like, no, that was completely different. Oh, he was sticking up for that kid. I didn't say a negative thing about him. You do not hit a child ever now. I need to go have me tofu and me lentil soup lunch, or whatever it is that my wife's ex-husband has made me today, or whatever the fuck it would be. The point is he wouldn't acknowledge that he was a hypocrite. He would justify it, and it just annoys the fuck out of me. I'm sick of the media and Ian Garry acting like everybody just victimizes his family for no reason, and it's like this dog pile or whatever, when the one to blame here, in my opinion, is Ian Garry. I think he uses his family as a shield from trash talk, okay? Because they acknowledged once upon a time that Layla was the one who thought of and made the mugshot t-shirts for the buildup of the Jeff Neal fight. But then whenever somebody says something about Layla, it's like, whoa, that's off limits, dude. You crossed the fucking line, dude. You crossed the line, dude. You don't bring up family, dude. What? Your wife can talk shit to me, but I can't say something back? What the fuck are we talking about here? She's not a fighter. Either keep her out of it, or guess what, dude? She's fair game, okay? There's no sacred cows here. And you can even disagree with people bringing up the family. The point is that it's a utility thing, okay? It's gonna happen if you do what the Garys, what the Machado Garys do, okay? It's bound to happen. So I need the media to stop acting like he's being fucking victimized. I need him to realize that he's a hypocrite, and if he doesn't want his kids talked about, well, then he should keep them the fuck out of this, okay? That's it. Listen, dude, this has been bothering me for a little bit, and then it got brought up again during the whole Jack Della Maddalena stuff, so I just wanted to touch on it, and it was perfect because Ariel brought it up, of course, in the interview, like he does every single time. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below when it comes to what Jack Della Maddalena said, what other people have said about his family, and, you know, where you think that line may be and all the rest of it. Either way, dude, like and subscribe. I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.